last night in the game, I mean, to not many people's surprise, the Warriors won, played a really good game. But I don't think anybody was surprised that they won fairly comfortably. But the big story coming out of it was Anthony Davis. At one point, it looked like he might have a concussion. And, you know, he got accidentally hit by Kevon Looney. Wasn't on purpose. It was like a forearm kind of to the jaw or temple. I don't know if he hit him in temple or the jaw or whatever, but it was a forearm there. And as is his custom, AD went down like a house of cards. And, you know, every time AD goes down, he's at death's doorstep.
And everybody everybody in LA moaned and groaned and said, "There it is. We're going to lose this playoff series."
Absolutely. I mean, every time AD hits the floor, you wonder, is this it? And I'm not making light of it, but I'm just saying he went down and he did what he usually does. But the difference was he was wobbly. Which, you know, I guess when he was walking to the bench, he did look a little wobbly. And that plus the way he was kind of, you know, acting on the bench, just head down and everything, clearly had his bell rung at the very least. And then, Rob, he goes to they're going to take him to the locker room. But apparently the locker room was a long way away in that arena, the Chase Center. It's a long way away from their bench, from the visiting bench. So they put him in a wheelchair and took him there.
So you can it's closer to get to an ATM at the Chase Center than to the back to the.
It might be. Probably.
I mean, it's that far away. You got to be in a wheelchair. I mean,
I'm just going off the reporting, you know. But that's why when it was reported that he had to get a wheelchair, it was said that it's so far away. And, you know, you've been in an arena. Sometimes it can be far away from one part of the, you know, the court. So I guess that's the case. I've never been to the Chase Center. But, and so afterwards, at this point, it's just speculation. Does he have a concussion? Does he not? And initially, Rob, I don't think this speculation was that heavy on a concussion. It was just like, what's wrong with him? So Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson, of course, they have the Inside the NBA show. And post-game, Shaq, Charles, and Kenny were making fun of AD for, you know, needing a wheelchair after getting hit in the head or the face. And Kenny kind of acted like he was in a wheelchair. He moved his chair a certain way or something. And Charles and Shaq were just cracking up. I got to be honest, Rob. I'm watching that after the game. I did not know what they were laughing at.
Well,
I missed Kenny. I didn't see Kenny do what he did with the chair, but I was like, what? It's so funny. I didn't know. And Ernie Johnson seemed a bit perturbed because at one point he's like, "All right, guys, let's just come on, guys, come on."
Well, one thing is,
did you know? Did you see it live or?
But I didn't. That they were acting out like it was a wheelchair. But my thing, Chris, is
so you didn't know either that they were making fun of AD. I did not know that.
But the idea of playing around and acting like you're in a wheelchair is bad. I just that's not funny.
I just
do you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, and I think what they're thinking of, and I'm kind of, I don't know, but what people were equated to was Paul Pierce.
I was going to say, did AD have to go to the bathroom because Paul Pierce?
Yeah, and we found that out later. Initially, Pierce gets in the wheelchair and he goes, and you're thinking that, wow, he is serious knee injury.
But you knew when he came back, it couldn't have been that. How in the world could you be in a wheelchair and then come back and play?
Yeah, but my point is, I think that's what they were thinking of. Like, oh, Pierce, fronted like he needed a wheelchair, and he didn't, and AD's did the same. And I think it was also a shot at the notion that AD's soft and always hurt.
Well, I mean, Charles calls him street clothes.
Yeah,
he gave him that nickname, and we get it. I mean, there's a degree, and they're always going to treat him differently, Chris, because of his history.
Right, and I think like you said, Rob, when he hits the floor, I think that first, like you said, Lakers fans think, oh my gosh, and even just fans in general, is this it? But there's also a part of you that's like, come on, man, just get up. And you still need to just let it play out, though, because you don't know. And that's where I think if you want to criticize Charles and the crew, at that point, you don't know if it's a serious injury. So you got to be careful. If he had a concussion, if he did have a serious head injury, you don't want to make light of that.
Right. You don't know. You never know. You haven't diagnosed him. You don't know what's going on. You could be chuckling and all that and acting like he's in a wheelchair or whatever, and he's paralyzed. You think that's funny?
Next thing
seriously.
You know, it's something serious.
Right. Like, that's why you don't mess around with that.
Maybe it was a nerve hit, because of the way he got hit. It could have been anything. And then our buddy, Stephen A. caught a little flack. Do we have sound of Stephen A., Rob G? But Stephen A. was kind of, Rob G., give us a read if you can when you get what he said, because I don't want to really paraphrase it. But Stephen A. kind of, talked about, here it is. Here's Rob G's going to read it.
Well, he was yelling. I can't do the Stephen A. voice, but this is what he said.
So he was doing screaming at it.
Oh, he was all up in it, turned to 100.
Okay.
I'll be damned if I wasn't laughing. I'm like, concussion. I thought the NFL season was over. Now, I understand concussions can happen in other sports, boxing, UFC. And I mean, if the collision is fierce enough, I guess it could happen in basketball too. But damn, I ain't seen nothing yesterday that made me say concussion. I tried.
You did a good
Not
job,
bad.
Rob G. Better than
Rob
I
G.
expected.
So you did have a black roommate. I could tell.
I did.
See?
I really did.
I'm just saying.
But then he got a lot of pushback on Twitter, Rob, Stephen A. And then he did apologize. You want to read the tweet, Rob G., where he kind of
Sure. This one's more muted. This one's more muted from Stephen A. Right. Blowback is blowback. Comes with the territory, peeps. I was in no way minimizing the seriousness of a concussion. I was questioning whether Anthony Davis really had one, considering the play I saw and other hits I've seen him absorb. But bottom line, it was wrong for me to do, period. My bad.
Right.
I actually think Stephen A., I agree with him. Like, what he is saying is, I don't think he was mocking he don't think Anthony Davis had a concussion.
Right, but you don't know that.
He doesn't know, but he wasn't mocking like a concussion. You know what I mean? Somebody that's got a concussion, and I'm making fun of this guy that's got a concussion. He was saying, I don't think he don't have a concussion, and he doesn't. Now, he's also right where you still, like you said, Rob, because we don't know, you just got to be careful.
You just have to. I brought up the famous Jay Cutler one in the playoff game, Chris. Remember, he got roasted by NFL players sitting at home on their couch, and the dude wound up having surgery after that. You remember? Mm-hmm. Like they were questioning him whether, he don't want to play. It's a big game. It might have been the NFC Championship game or something. And he came out.
It was a playoff.
Right. And then Ben Simmons, his back, he had wound up having surgery. Like you just, it's easy to say, just get out there and play, but you don't know really what's going on in the inner workings of somebody's body. So you got to be careful about playing the role of doctor. That's all.
I think too, and look, I think in the Paul Pierce situation that once you find out he's fine and actually he had to go use the bathroom, that's fine to joke about. You know what I mean?
But at that time, nobody knew
about that. Right, at that time, nobody knew. But I think, too, because it didn't look like a huge – obviously, Kevon Looney is a big guy. But it didn't look like a huge shot. But I look at it probably right. And look, again, AD's earned his reputation, so that is what it is. But at the same time, I looked at it like boxing. Like, there are some boxers that might take a hit and actually just walk through it, and they're fine. And there are others that same punch is going to knock them out. And it's just your chin, so to speak. Or AD didn't see the blow coming, and those are the worst hits in boxing.
Right, when you don't know it's coming.
Or football, right, where you have no idea. And so, look, AD's history is what it is. he drives me crazy with over embellishment of every time he hits the floor, it looks like a career-ending injury. But last night, he was a little woozy and wobbly. And so you do have to wait because it looked like he might really be hurt, to some degree. I mean, concussion or whatever. So you just got to be careful with that. What'd you think of the media discourse surrounding Anthony Davis's, I guess he wasn't an injury, but his experience last night? How about that? 877-99 on Fox. Your turn to weigh in.
All right, Chris, let's start with the blind Seahawk fan in Washington. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What up?
Chris Broussard, Rob Parker. How you guys doing?
Doing great. How are you?
We're great, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. And my thoughts on the AD stuff is I get that it could be kind of, a joking thing to do to make fun of AD's injury history. I mean, the street clothes, all that. But it's something as serious as a potential head injury, which we didn't know at the time when Shaq and Charles Barkley were, laughing at it. I just think that's something you shouldn't, make jokes at. I mean, a head injury is something very serious. I mean, we remember, I know it's a different sport, but NFL, when Tua Tagovailoa had his concussion situation, people were not liking that. So I think, the media guys, they should, feel bad that they were, laughing at AD. And I'd even get it if, we knew AD was fine. Okay, he'll be back Friday, 100%. I still think, it's kind of frowned upon, but it makes it better. But not knowing the certainty is what gets it away from me.
No, it's tough because you might put your foot in your mouth because he ends up being seriously hurt and you were making fun of him. So, at the end of the day, and the way it worked out, it's fine. He wasn't even hurt, or isn't hurt. But yeah, in that moment, you just got to be careful.
You really, really do. Steve in Kentucky, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What up, Steve?
Not much. I appreciate you taking my phone call first time, and
we appreciate you.
Reading a book by Ernie Johnson. I believe he adopted a child that had to be in a wheelchair a lot. So that may be one reason.
So that man,
that's what I'm saying. Why he wouldn't feel comfortable with that, right, Chris? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Being in the wheelchair is no laughing matter. It just isn't.
Right.
And one last thing I've always wanted to tell you guys, I guess, Rob, in the world of smooth, would you not say the pinnacle would be Barry White?
Yes.
He's up there.
Are you kidding me? Yes. The Walrus of Love.
Okay, so you
the R&B Biggie.
Yes.
So in our world, you would be Barry White Smooth.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right, I'll take that.
I was with you until you said that last.
I am smooth.
No. And Chris Broussard was also, you mentioned somebody today that he could be as smooth with, a phenomenal crooner back in his day. Alfalfa,
a crooner. He was a crooner. Very nice.
He was a crooner.
Albalpa.
Yeah. And who was his girlfriend?
Darla.
What was her name?
Darla. Are you kidding?
Darla.
Yes. Darla was a cutie.
That was one of my favorite shows back in the day as a kid.
It was Chris. It was funny.
Yeah.
If you had 2 donuts and you gave me one, they asked Stymie that. If you had 2 donuts and you gave me one, how many would you have? Stymie said 2. Well, how could you have 2 if you gave me one? I ain't giving my donuts to nobody. Boise Bob in Idaho. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up?
Long time no talk, fellas. How you doing?
Good. What's going on in Boise?
Beautiful, sunny, and 76, my man.
Very nice.
Wow, that's nice.
Is your sister city girlsy? Idaho? I'm just asking.
Okay. Robin.
No, it's not.
Don't even entertain that. Rob's feeling no pain right now.
Yeah, I'm having a big gulp. I'm feeling myself right now. All right, go ahead, Bob.
Look, man, when people tune in to watch Shaq and Barkley, they know they're getting barbershop humor. Them guys didn't do nothing wrong. AD is as soft as a bag of pillows, and if you watch the replay, you knew it wasn't going to be serious. They got their tongue-in-cheek humor. The people that watch it enjoy it, and they do a good job of it. I don't see anything wrong with what they did.
All right. I mean, again, it turned out they were fine.
Wheelchair humor?
He's all right.
Okay, that works for him. Wheelchair humor. until one of your relatives are in a wheelchair, I guess. And then it's not funny.